Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. It's the evening, it's cold outside, it's ridiculously cold outside. The wind chill is below 1 degree. Um, I think the actual temperature where I am right now is 4 above 0, and I'm hungry. So I wanted to make something that is relatively quick, easy, and delicious. I already started my rice in advance. I wanted to like pre-chop vegetables and stuff so that you're not sitting here watching me labor at chopping everything, but I'll talk you through the process as I'm doing this. I decided, with the ingredients that I had today, that I would make like some chicken. Do a chicken stir fry and add some mandarin oranges in it. Call it my own version of the mandarin chicken. I turn the stove on, kind of medium low to get it started because I'm actually using the wok today instead of using a frying pan. And yes, you can do this in a frying pan, but since I have a wok, I'm going to use the wok today. Put a couple of tablespoons of oil in there. I like using the extra virgin olive oil. It kind of goes through the system a little bit easier. So have that in there, and I'm letting that heat up for a minute in the pan. As I mentioned, I need a pot holder. That's what I need. I already pre-cooked my rice. It's white and wild rice kind of blended together. So that is already ready on the side, and that will go in my dish later as it gets done. The thing about using a wok is that it heats up pretty quickly. And like I said, there's not a lot of oil in there. It it heats up evenly and fairly quickly. So to my wok, I'm adding one chicken breast, already pre-sliced. It was boneless, which you can get a lot of boneless chicken breasts nowadays, and I just cut in long strips, and then I took those long strips and I cut them into shorter pieces to make it more manageable for cooking and for eating later. Put that on in there. You can already hear it starting to sizzle. It really doesn't take that long. Um, I'm going to add a couple of shakes of garlic powder. I know it doesn't sound very technical, but that's what I'm adding. Just a couple of shakes. You don't need like a half of a teaspoon or anything. Just shake it a little bit because that garlic powder will add to the flavor. And as you can see, it's already starting to cook. I do enjoy using either a wok or stainless steel cookware for incidents like this. I do also have some cast iron, which is good for preparing other things. But today, because I was hankering for this, and I happen to have the chicken and stuff, like why not go for it? I'm going to give it a few minutes and prepare this so the chicken gets cooked through and through. And then after that's done, or fairly cooked through, then I can start adding other things like a fourth a cup of bell pepper. They're red and green. It makes it nice and colorful, and it's going to taste so good when everything is done. And I also will add half a cup of celery. I just use one whole stalk of celery. It comes to about a half a cup. So that's what I have there. I mean, and if you don't like celery, you don't have to add celery in, but if you like celery, go for it and make it work for you. Because it can be a good addition to a lot of different meals. You can use it for stir fry, you can use it for soup, you can use it for a variety of things. Thank you for joining me today in the kitchen. Sorry my back is kind of too part of the time. I had to figure out a better way to be able to do this so that you can get the full effect of the meal that I'm making. But while that's simmering, let's just talk a minute. You know, we've been talking about the supply chain for the longest. I've been talking about food prices and going in the stores and they have stuff kind of front lined and you pull out one package and there's nothing behind it. And that was for me was like really discouraging and disturbing, which you already know if you've been watching my channel any amount of time, you know that I enjoy um, dehydrating, especially produce. Lots of produce, as much as possible. Well, it turns out now the prices on produce are going up. I guess we should have already known that before the time, right? It's getting there. It's getting there. Still a little bit more to go, but it's getting there. I just like to be sure that the chicken is cooked through and through before I start adding other things to it. You know, one of the other things I will add is a little bit of soy sauce. I think it's good to, be careful with the sodium content that we have in our food, but I do like my Kiko Man soy sauce to add a little bit of flavor, especially for something like this. I don't know if you remember a couple months ago, I was going through a store just looking for soy sauce, and I had the hardest time finding it. Well, I go to a store closer in my own neighborhood, and lo and behold, I was able to find it. So I was extremely pleased about that. Chicken is looking good. I'm going to add 2 splashes of soy sauce, which come out to about a tablespoon worth of soy sauce. That's all I need. I don't need it to be super salty. I don't need it to be overbearing. I just want to add a little bit of flavor. And as you see, it's, you know, doing its thing up down in there. Turn up the heat just a teeny bit. And I will add those bell peppers. My goal is to not go overboard with anything, but just to add enough color and enough flavor that it becomes truly satisfying. And as you see, we haven't really been on here very long. It's fairly quick and easy. And I think it'll be a pretty delicious meal. Another thing I'm going to add, which I hadn't mentioned yet, is this is about 3/4 a cup of cabbage. Just raw cabbage. I had a head of cabbage. If you like more cabbage, go for it. Get your green vegetables in. And I know there's some people out there that would say that their doctor told them not to eat any green vegetables. You know who you are. But yes, green vegetables can be good for you, and it helps to keep you regular. I'm not saying any of this as a medical doctor or an attorney or anything. You know, this is just Annette's kitchen, and this is what I do. I want to eat something that I can enjoy. I believe in treating myself good, um, not cheating myself out of anything. And I think that we can all do that and enjoy our meal quite a bit more. So take a little bit for the cabbage to cook down because I don't want it to be al dente. I want it to be softer and easier to chew. going to add that celery in now too, so that it can go ahead and work with everything else. And you know, it's looking a little bit dry, so I'm just going to add a teeny bit of water in there. Just a teeny bit. That was like an eighth of a cup of water. Really not much. But I don't add the water to make it soggy. I just don't want things to burn while they're in there. As you see, it's coming along nicely. And what I'm doing is that I'm cooking for one. You know, I considered changing the name of the channel to Cooking for One, but I talk about more than food on the channel, so maybe I can just do a subdivision of videos that are cooking for one. Because if you become an empty nester, or if you are just single and satisfied, sometimes you're just going to be cooking for yourself. It's nice to be able to cook for other people too, but as we've seen over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of alone time for a lot of us. And it's not the end of the world to have some alone time. You know, you can still do things and make a nice simple meal like this. Very simple. But like I was saying, you know, the price of produce is going up, which is just like we already knew it was going to happen. I already knew it was going to happen. That's why I take the time to dehydrate so much. Because if I can dehydrate things like onions, if I can dehydrate a sack of onions, that sack of onions goes me for me a lot further than it does as the fresh onions. That sack of onions will last for me through my winter months when it's dehydrated. Because I can put it in lasagna. I can put it in soups. I can put it in stew. I can put it in stir fry. I can reconstitute it and do all sorts of different things with those onions. But if I leave it as the whole onion, like you just saw, there's a possibility that I might not get around to eating it while it's still good. And it's a shame that here in America, we tend to waste a lot of food. There's a lot of things that people will go to the store to get after it's gone through that whole process of being grown and harvested and everything, and put it in the fridge and you let it sit there for so long, you forget about it and you go on with life dealing with other stuff. And then when you come back to it and you're ready to eat it, it's gone bad, it's mushy, it's moldy, it's not looking like it's having its best day. So those are times when it's good to have those things dehydrated. Because then at least you know you got to put up. If something happens, you have something that you can eat. And as you see, there's a lot of somethings that's been happening lately. Now, while that's simmering a bit, I am going to what I did with my oven mitt. I must put it back in the drawer. Well, there. I'm going to add some rice because this is looking pretty nice. I'll add some rice. This rice was really easy. You can use minute rice. You can use the bag rice that you get in the store that used to be $1, but I don't know how much it costs anymore. This is just one of those cheaper rice mix packages that had long grain and wild rice together. It comes with a flavor packet, but I'm really not interested in using the flavor packet, so I'll just leave that to the side today. I just want the natural flavors from for my food to work their way through. Might add a little bit more garlic powder. And if you have raw garlic, yeah, you can chop and do the raw garlic too. And I do. I have raw garlic, but I've been using my raw garlic making infused beverages with garlic cloves, like 2 garlic cloves, taking a whole apple and peeling the outside and coring it and chopping it up, putting it into glass containers like this. It sounds weird, but since I've been doing that, it's kind of helped my blood pressure to go down. So I drink that every day, and I'm not giving medical advice again, but it has done a wonder on me. Things are looking pretty good, but I want to add one last thing. And you know what that is? Or do you know what that is? You might not know what it is. I'm adding some mandarin oranges. And this is just one of those little big cans, nothing big or major, one of those little tiny half-size cans of mandarin oranges. And I'm actually only using half of that. Like if you're cooking for two, you could use the whole can to go with it. But really, like I said, just cooking for me, I don't need all of that. But I'm really excited to be able to have this and to be able to have this meal today. Something different to eat. And I know I've spent so much time talking about food recalls and the all the pressures of the world. But even with the pressures of the world going on outside, sorry, you probably hear that shrieking noise coming from my radiator because it's so cold outside that the radiator is amping up. I have radiator heating. So with all the pressures of the world going on the outside, it's nice to have something good to eat at home. Level it out in my little signature dish. There you go. Fresh. And mm, really, really good. Something easy that you can do too. And if you have difficulty with mobility or being able to do the chopping and things for like the, sorry, eating and talking. Okay. If you have difficulty, now it's like my smoke detector is beeping. I guess that needs a new battery too. If you have difficulty dealing with the chopping and everything, you can always substitute and get a bag of already chopped cabbage from your grocery store, or you can get the coleslaw mix, which is the shredded cabbage and the shredded carrots already in the bag, nice and easy. I've done those bag meals videos in the past. It's been quite a while. I'm gonna have to start doing those again. Very convenient. Then you're just opening the bag, got your little oil in there, dump the bag in there, let that cook down. If you're having meat, you can add meat in this under a separate frying pan or medium or whatever. If you're not doing meat, you can do the same thing and use tofu. And no, it's not the end of the world for people to eat tofu. Tofu is a soy product, and I know people feel different ways about soy products, just like they felt different ways about the Rona and other things going on in the world. But it's not bad. Tofu takes on the flavor of what you put with it. So that's why you have to be skillful and know what herbs and spices to add to that so that you can make the meal the way you want to make it. Thank you again for taking time out to be with me while I prepared my dinner. Hope you have a good dinner tonight, too. I'll try to put the recipe down below in the description box, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Don't forget, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. And a wise person prepares so they're not caught in a bad situation. Have a good night.